been sold.
What is this?
Gospels. But not those in the Bible.
The Apocrypha?
Not exactly. How about the Gospels or Jesus himself?
It's impossible. Why aren't they made public?
I assure you that if you read these, you'd hide them from the world as well.
This is unbelievable. This changes it all.
Of course it changes everything.
The greatest romance that's ever been sold.
Transit! I'm bleeding!
It was April 3rd, 2003. It was my fourth day in Iraq. We had crossed the border on Sunday, and just a few days later, I got shot. I took a 7.62 shoot round to the back of the skull. My fourth day in Iraq.
Where? Where you hit? Head. Head? Yeah.
Unfortunately, some member states in the Security Council and the mainstream media continue to defend and support the genetically modified armed Syrian opposition, moderate by definition, while turning a blind eye to the crimes committed by them, such as burning the evacuation buses yesterday. I guess you are aware of this. Continue to defend and support the genetically modified armed Syrian opposition.
Mr. Ambassador, you named off a whole list of individuals who you claim are
nice people, yeah.
Are intelligence agents from
No, they are Syrian moderate opposition.
Right. Can
Genetically
you tell,
modified.
Are they still in eastern Aleppo?
Yes. No, they are Syrian moderate opposition.
Right. Can
Genetically
you tell,
modified.
Are they still in eastern Aleppo?
Yes. Unfortunately, some member states in the Security Council and the mainstream media continue to defend and support the genetically modified armed Syrian opposition, moderate by definition, while turning a blind eye to the crimes committed by them, such as burning the evacuation buses yesterday. I guess you are aware of this. continue to defend and support the genetically modified armed Syrian opposition.
Mr. Ambassador, you named off a whole list of individuals who you claim are
Nice people, yeah.
are intelligence agents from
No,
countries.
they are Syrian moderate.
Right. Can
Genetically
you tell,
modified.
Are they still in eastern
Yes,
Aleppo?
yes. No, they are Syrian moderate opposition.
Right. Can
Genetically
you tell,
modified.
Are they still in eastern Aleppo?
Yes. The genetically modified, the genetically modified, the genetically modified. Some member states in the Security Council and the mainstream media continue to defend and support the genetically modified.
The overloaded helicopter can barely make it off the roof. It dips between buildings, finally clearing the rooftops, headed for Ceausescu's summer palace at Snagov, 20 miles away. The crowds have now stormed the Central Committee building, flinging books and papers and official portraits out of the windows. Volumes of Ceausescu's collected speeches are flung over the balcony from which he'd spoken only hours before, and ripped to shreds by the crowds below.
In the meantime, Nicolae Ceausescu learned that the state television network had fallen into the rebels' hands. He decided to head toward Pitești. There, he hoped to be able to get things back under control. Then I had the idea that saved the lives of my crew and myself when I told them that we had been spotted by radar and that we risked being blown out of the sky by the artillery at any minute. So Ceausescu told me to land right away. Where, I said, on the military air base nearby? No, he told me, near the road. Then he looked at me and he asked me for the third time, "Are you serving the cause? Are you serving the cause?"
Continue to defend and support the genetically modified.
En nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo.
Let's go. Good boys. Let's go down. Come down. Come down. Go eat. Go eat. Good boys. Hey, let's go.
Maldito comboio negro, aonde ali perdeu o seu destino, deixando muita gente sem vida. Aquele comboio negro.
Those of you out there who know its meaning, you know its meaning. Those of you out there who know its meaning, you know its meaning. Those of you out there who know its meaning, you know its meaning.
It's the dawn of a new day.
Roll the drum. To the world of tomorrow we come. See the sun through the gray. It's the dawn of a new day. Here we come, young and old. Come to watch all the wonders unfold. And the tune that we play. It's the dawn of a new day. Tell the wolf at the door that we don't want him round anymore. Better times here to stay as we live and laugh the American way. Listen one, listen all. There can be no resisting the call. Come hail the dawn of a new day.
Today, I have given formal notice to Russia, in accordance with the treaty, that the United States of America is withdrawing from this almost 30-year-old treaty. I have concluded the ABM Treaty hinders our government's ability to develop ways to protect our people from future terrorists or rogue state missile attacks.
But the unilateral withdrawal of the United States from a treaty that was the cornerstone for the international peace and security and stability, from the ABM Treaty, has aggravated things, and as it's a discussion club, I'd like to ask the distinguished Mr. Ambassador how he can assess the unilateral withdrawal of the United States from the ABM Treaty.
I was personally opposed to that withdrawal, and I take your point. I would say that I don't think that any subsequent plans for the sort of deployments were or could be a threat to Russian systems. But in general, I am not a supporter of ABM systems. I would point out that I think the main source of that is not to threaten Russia, but to secure employment in the United States. A lot comes from the military-industrial complex and the number of people it employs.
Ambassador, I believe your arguments non-justified. I treat your experience with huge respect and your expertise with huge respect, and I know the diplomatic craft that you've been using. It's immaculate. You've been evading the direct answer, but still you gave some kind of answer, direct answer, with some decorating elements. Still, well, jobs that result in a threat for the humankind should not be created. And you, ABM systems creation would entail new jobs, but why create new jobs in this sphere? Let's create new jobs in biology, pharmaceuticals, high-tech, non-related to arms production. Now, as regards whether it's a threat to Russia or not, please rest assured the US security specialists and the strategic arms specialists are aware that it is a threat to the Russian nuclear capability. And all the system is being created in order to diminish potential of other nuclear states, but for the United States to nearly zero. And the arguments were different, like the Iranian nuclear threat and others. In my speech, I have said that we always thought there was no threat, and now the whole of the international community believes that there is no threat, and the United States was the initiator of signing this agreement with Iran, and we backed and provided assistance to our American partners, and we finally reached a coordinated decision, and it has taken effect, and Iran has agreed to export enriched uranium, but now again a ABM system in place, an Iranian nuclear problem is on the table, and there has been a round of maneuvers. Until the end of this year, Romania will see the first component of this system, and by the 2020, the system will be installed in Poland. And the specialists know that the position areas for anti-missile systems can be used efficiently in order to deploy offensive cruise missiles there. Isn't it a threat to us? Yes, it is. And it changes the philosophy of international security if one country believes that They have created a nuclear or missile umbrella, a shield that can be a safeguard against the response. In this case, it's free to use all its capabilities, which is the breach of the strategic balance, the upsetting of the equilibrium.
Hello. I know, just like these days we are dealing with and discussing nuclear weapons, ABM treaties, intercontinental missiles, and there are deals and treaties among the United States and Russia. Back in the old days, the same thing was going on. These deals, these treaties, have always been going on. Example, just 700 years ago, when cannons with cannonballs start becoming common in the wars in Europe. They already existed, for example, in China, but even in Europe, between the two parties, sometimes 3 or 4, the cannons start to become very common on the battlefield. 13th century they started to appear, 14th century they were common. Just like now, a few decades ago, as you just saw, there were treaties and deals to keep both sides' weapons under control. In those days, 700 years ago, the same deals were going on about cannons and cannonballs in order to avoid as much casualties as possible during war, just like now we do with intercontinental missiles and many other weapons, chemical weapons, everything. Back in the days, there were deals that sometimes, there was not always a deal. Just like right now, there's countries with nuclear capability, and for example, the United States or Russia doesn't have deals with them. Often those deals are broken anyway. But like I was saying, back in the day, 700 years ago, you'd have both parties sometimes deciding on a deal to keep the amount of cannons on the battlefield to a certain number, and the size of those cannons and the cannonballs was also to a certain number, to a certain size. For example, sometimes the war is about to happen between two countries, two sides, and would get together, well, the leaders, or the messengers, or the ambassadors, and say, if there is going to be a war, let's make a deal in order to keep the amount of casualties to a minimum. Let's not have any confrontation with more than 300 cannons, or 500, or 1,000. Let's keep the size of these cannons, the size of the destruction, to this size, no bigger, okay? And sometimes deals were reached like that, just like you saw on the clips that I show you. But now with bigger, the weapons are bigger, but the basis is the same, Before 700 years ago you have cannons, now we have missiles or huge bombs. Back in the days, you had cannonballs, and now you have the ogives with uranium and plutonium. But the principle is the same. Something has to move the explosives somewhere, or to drop them or to throw them, cannons, missiles. And then there's the explosive itself, what it kills, cannonballs, plutonium, uranium, etc. But it's mainly the same thing, as times are different. Sometimes I'm reading things somewhere and I find it funny that people, reading an article about war 1,000 years ago or some other historical aspect 2,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 100 years ago, 50 years ago. And I find it funny when people write, and that's cannot be, it cannot happen this way. Doesn't make any sense. Why would they choose this when they have that? Why don't they do that instead of doing this? It makes no sense. It makes no sense right now to the modern person. But people were different back then. People were different 50 years ago. The way they reacted was totally different. The way they talked was different. The way they thought was different. The way they interacted was different. The mannerisms were different. They're different. It's like a different race. It's not, but it's like, just go check video clips from people, how they spoke and how they interacted with each other and how they reacted to certain situations just in the 1950s. There's on YouTube, there's lots of footage about people talking in the 1950s, compared to the people now. To the same situation then and now, they have different reaction, Even if, in the case of murder, they would react differently. But recently, in a video that I published not too long ago, that I put that the example of the Black Friday, how people were during the day of the Black Friday in the 1980s. And there's that guy saying, "Oh, I just like to walk around and look at people." Then there's the lady saying, "Oh yeah, sometimes we'll bump into each other." And then you see the footage of Black Friday these days, and everybody's crazy fighting each other. That was just the difference between 1980s and now. I explain why, the increase of that essence, but the power in the essence, but gives you an idea of people were just 20, 30 years ago and now. And so sometimes I find it funny when people say, they're talking about some historical event 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, whatever, and something that happened or something that was decided. And they're like, no, that makes no sense. Why would these people do this? It makes no sense. Yeah, it makes no sense to your modern man or modern woman mind. The way you are now. Back in the day made a lot of sense. But anyway, another between the example of the cannons and now the missiles, there are other weapons or instruments that became weapons or could be used as weapons. This video is about one of those things. I'm talking about trains. Trains is when everything changed. Trains came with to the Industrial Revolution, which was a vast unmet introduction to societies, and mainly by the United Kingdom, by England, and I already explained that years ago, but one of these days I have to refresh your memory about why the Industrial Revolution started, was introduced, was forced. And along with the Industrial Revolution came, for example, the education system that changed too at the same time of the Industrial Revolution. There's a reason why, why suddenly the educational system started in England to changed. That was to go along with the Industrial Revolution. You couldn't just put people suddenly working those huge shifts in horrible places. No time for napping or relaxing, with no rights, just out of the blue. It was done gradually, with the introduction of a new educational system, so to train them from little children to be slaves. But that's a complicated story, that's another story. Anyway, the trains is actually a very important thing, extremely important, also introduced by Vlach Metre. And many people don't think about trains. It's because they're not in the know, they can't make the connections. No, until the introduction of trains, life was a lot more slow, slow-paced. There were ships, steamships and stuff. They were still very slow. From the time thousands and thousands of years ago when you were riding horses, then riding carriages pulled by horses, boats and ships, even steamships, life was still pretty slow-paced, for you to get something sent from one side of the world to one side of Europe to the other side of Europe, or one side of the world to the other side of the world. That would take months, weeks, months. Very rarely days, for long distances, even within Europe, or Europe to Africa. And so life was slow-paced, as it should be. Because only if you have a slow-paced life can you enjoy life. If you have a slow-paced life, you can afford to go walk in the woods and just sit down, look at the ants working around, just enjoy nature. Enjoy whatever you want. Look at the clouds, look at the trees, look at the birds. Think, stop and think. Only a slow-paced life allows for you to enjoy life. The faster life is, like these days, the less you enjoy life. You're always doing something. You don't have time to think about life. You're always going from place to place physically, and on the internet, and on your phone, and all the thing. Always busy, always thinking about what you're going to do the next thing. Always think, warnings popping up everywhere. Well, can't enjoy life. But now everybody's addicted to these things. It's not only an addiction, it was also put here on purpose. Also, the internet was presented to humans by Vlach Metre. Sorry. Now, that's the world we live in, and we have to adapt. But no, you don't have to be a slave of this world, of the world we live in right now. You have to live in it. You have to learn how to live in it, just like happened before. But you have to make time to slow down the pace of your life. Otherwise, you will not enjoy life. the faster you live life, the faster you die. No, not exactly, but in a way, because you actually don't enjoy life. You don't stop. You're always doing something. So life feels like you're born, you're raised in 10 minutes, and pretty soon you're dying. Meaning you don't have memories, you know, of spending time here, spending time there, just enjoying what's all around you and enjoying yourself and the ones you love. Because there's no time for those things. So everything, a day goes by, feels like it was 5 minutes, but a day can feel like it lasted for a year. Do as much as you can, so that when you die, you have memories, you know, good memories, and not just this flash, as if nothing has happened in your life. Anyway, I'm already talking about things nothing to do with this video. What I was talking about was trains. Yeah, trains changed everything. Suddenly, life really sped up, went from low-paced to fast-paced, you know. And after the trains came cars, and then faster cars, and planes, and then faster planes. Everything became faster after the trains, faster trains. Everything became faster. Everything. And now you had the newspapers before, you know, well, magazines, you know, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, almanacs. So you'd sit down and read. And now then came radio. So you have information right there, no, not once a day on the newspaper. You have to sit down and read the newspaper calmly. No, came the radio. We had the news ding, ding, right there. You had to wait for any newspapers. And now came the TV. Then many channels, many TV stations. Everything is overwhelming, you know, always bombarded. So, but it all started with the trains, believe it or not. It started with the Industrial Revolution, but the means was the train to connect, you know, to connect cities, countries, make life faster, which also allowed in the Industrial Revolution to progress faster, become to where we are today. And the trains really messed up everything. Now, trains at one time, and you are not aware of this, became the cannons of past centuries. Trains became the missiles that we have today. Because the weapon itself, the cannonball or the ogive full of uranium, those are the things that kill, not the cannon and not the missile itself. That's just the means to transport the cannonball, the ogive, the head, the warhead. Trains became the same thing. What was the cannonball that they were transporting, the ogive? These crates. You put crates inside the trains, and this was after, you know, there was already a good railway system in Europe, east and back east, like China, Japan, and the United States, and spread all over the world. And that became also a possibility. Of course, there was the cannons and everything else to kill each other. But once the railway system was big, that became the nuclear bomb of these days, you know. The trains were always carrying crates full of explosives that could destroy half a city. Once, you know, the locomotive arrived, could make the explode and take take out half of a city if they want, or at least a little. It depends on the size of the city, of course. But they became the missiles of today, the cannons of hundreds of years ago. But people don't know that. Yeah, the train in the beginning was the cannon of the old days, the missile of these days. And guess what? Still is. You just don't know it. Any trains you see are transporting the ogivs. And you know, trains just go from place to place freely. So, thank you for listening. Now we'll go back to the video. Cheers.
train 昨日俺は代議士に真っ赤な血を引っ掛けた最後の階段を登る俺目隠しされた死刑囚みたいだそしてマスメディアの拷問だまくらかした闇夜の列車叩き切られた首ういこき使われて踏みにじられて一人で泣いた夜羽にまみれたゾンビ歴史に群がる裏切り上っ面だけど Say hello 根こそぎくらい折れ曲がった信じる力も愛も平和も紫に晴れ上がったパンパン青 Run that black train 荒野を巡 ごと走る青青青 Run that blood train 時代に放てよザクザクと屈辱に縛り付けた処刑台へのメロディー誰がそんな罠にはまるもんか真実の矛先食いちぎられた人差し指一晩眠ればマスメディアのゲームショーだまくらかした闇夜の列車叩き切られた首ういういういこぎ使われて踏みにじられて一人で泣いた夜ういういうい凍てつく冷たい冬を越え春の光が差す頃月も星も山も川も叫ぶ屈服しなくてよかった胸の十字架祈り捧ぐ俺も静かに叫ぶ Jesus Christ 青青青 Running that blood train 荒野を目指しガタゴト走る青青青 Running that blood train 時代に放てよザクザクと激しい砂嵐の中 We've just stopped that train 稲妻が走り闇夜の列車が燃える煙にまみれたマネー俺たちからかっぱらったマネーほら炎になり宙に舞うだまくらかした闇夜の列車叩き切られた首ういういこぎ使われて海にじられて一人で泣いた夜その夜三日月が昇った赤い涙が流れた死んだ友の体を拭いてやったこの国に軽蔑されるなんて思いもしなかったろうに俺たちは空を見て Fly again again 青青青 Running that blood train 荒野を目指し今こそ走る青青青 Running that blood train 時代に放てよザクザクと
Is that necessary, really?
That's just part of the filming that we're doing.
I mean, is it
present time.
necessary?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You're a doctor. You say it's necessary, I'll do it.
You said they sent you here. Who are they?
All of them. See, I'm dying, really. Right? I'm dying from a... Don't laugh at me, because I'm serious. I'm dying from an unknown disease. But Mother and Daddy know about it.
What's the disease?
I don't know. But I'm dying from it.
How long have you known about this?
Just not too long. But I know how to live. The best thing to do is to not, don't you listen to this here.
No, boy, turkey.
The best thing to do is to annihilate the world. Start all over again and build. People are talking about going to the moon. The best thing to do is to annihilate the world and start over like Noah's Ark. That's a truth. Build geniuses. Have people with an average IQ, but they are nuts.
Why did everyone think that you needed to come to hospital, Mr. Fisher?
Because I let snakes bite me.
I see. How long have you been doing that?
Letting snakes bite me?
Yes.
I ain't been doing that too long. I've been catching them for a long time. I like to let them bite me. You get a sensation. Have you ever seen an electric wire? I know you've done this. And just look at it and then just grab it. Have you?
No, I haven't done it.
Like these suicide cases, they don't have suicide cases in the hospital. They don't have it.
Okay.
Person, a suicide case is in the morgue. He's not in the hospital.
Now,
if they cut themselves, if they want to die, they'll cut it right there. I took a gun one time and clicked it 3 times. Didn't go off. I turned over a truck. I swallowed a bunch of pills. I actually get my kicks from swallowing pills. Or something, anything. But they don't, I ain't gonna tell nobody that. I can't tell nobody how I feel. I'm gonna first kill myself. Or everybody in there. Then I'm gonna kill all the attendants. I don't like those attendants. These people up here, I mean, they don't get mad at you. They don't get mad at you. They're nice. I wouldn't kill them. I don't want to kill nobody. I don't want to hurt nobody.
do you get angry at times too?
I just get, you know, spells. Well, when I get mad, man, I had a 64 Impala convertible, yellow, the only one I can green, but I get mad at it and I'll just tear stuff up. Or I just like to get in the building with a hammer, an axe, a glass building, and just tear it up. You know what I mean?
Do you think that you're mentally ill?
No, I'm not. That's why I've tried to tell them there's nothing mentally wrong with me. There's nothing emotionally wrong with me. There's nothing. I'm going to, when I get out, I'm going to get me a hill, and I'm going to stay on that hill. I'm going to get me enough whiskey. I don't want nothing to eat. I'm not going to eat. I'm just going to stay on that hill.
Do you feel that you want some help, though?
If I needed it, sure. Do you think I need it?
Yes, I think you need some help.
You really do? You really do?
Yes, certainly. Why are you laughing?
Oh. You think I'm nuts?
No. No.
I'm emotionally disturbed.
I think you've got some problems.
You're a smart man. When I'm by myself, I get these feelings, you know. Then when I get around people, I'm not. But when I get around them, for a few minutes, then I want to drink and then just cut my throat or something. And eventually I will. You know that well as I do. Eventually I'll do it. Don't you? You know that, don't you? Eventually I'll do it.
You think so?
You know how a person commits suicide? Or why a person beats another one just beyond reasoning?
No.
Something in his subconscious makes him mad when he's hitting that person. He's hitting him, and he knows the guy has had enough. And then it hits him, just like that, and then it keeps hitting harder and faster and harder and harder. But I don't want to hurt nobody.
No, I'm sure you don't.
No, y'all don't believe that.
Say, we just have to see how you get along.
Doc,
A few weeks.
I'll never change. Because when a person talks to me, it don't even faze me.
Okay, well, thank you very much for talking.
I hope you can help.
Mr. Scaramella, you met Alexander Litvinenko a number of times when you were a consultant for the so-called Mitrokhin Commission, which investigated KGB infiltrations in Italy. But the last time you met him was on November 1st, 2006, on the day he was lethally poisoned. Why did you meet that day? What did you talk about?
It was imperative for me to discuss with him the list of enemies of Russia at risk, because something like a death list have been announced by the Russian intelligence.
Who were these names?
The first name in this hit list was Anna Politkovskaya.
Anna Politkovskaya was killed a month before you actually met
Yes,
Alexander
4 weeks.
Litvinenko.
Exactly.
Who was the second name on the list?
It was Alexander Litvinenko.
He wasn't worried about his own safety?
He said, because the source, I don't believe.
He didn't trust the source?
No.
And yet on the very same day, he was lethally poisoned with polonium-210.
Yes.
inches long. With that mean old train took my baby, he's gone. Train, train, coming round the bend. Train, train, coming round the bend. Yeah, that mean old evil train took my one and only friend. Train, train, coming down the line. Train, train, coming down the line. Well, that mean old rotten train took the only friend of mine. Whoa, whoa. We want the world and we want it now.
Right. Damn it, I know what the hell's wrong with me, and staying here ain't gonna help me. Whitfield ain't gonna help me. It's a problem that I can work out myself. I'm not psychotic. Y'all don't understand. I say you don't understand me, you don't understand my problem. I'm sure you understand it, not in that sense, but y'all don't realize that what I say, like getting out and walking around by myself, helps me. It takes the tension out of me. Instead, they pump a few more damn pills in me. I'm not taking no more pills, no more nothing.
Now, how would you react if we said the opposite? For example, that, well, yes, you are very, very sick and you certainly need to be here or in Whitfield or
Well,
something.
they told me that. That's what Dr. Russell just got through telling me, that I am sick. I might be mentally sick. Sure, I think I am, but everybody, to an extent, is mentally ill. You're mentally ill to a certain extent. Do you believe that?
Do you? Ask me. If I answer your question, then answer mine. Answer me.
Now what, the way I am, what has this got to do with the way you are?
I'd just like to know. How would you feel if you came up here and didn't plan on staying and they told you to stay and you stayed? How would you feel? With an aide following you? Do you feel that you could be relaxed?
I would hope I would understand that I needed to stay here.
I think I need to stay here. But would you feel relaxed with an aide? Do you think that you could cope with it better if you could walk around by yourself and go places by yourself?
I like to be with people.
I like to be with people, but you like to be by yourself sometimes too. You'd enjoy going to a movie or something like that.
But you don't have someone following you around all the time.
I can stay on the 7th and 8th floor and that's it. That's it.
That's pretty good.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. And they better not try to carry me in Whitfield. Because I'm gonna put the hell of this fight they ever seen put up. I ain't gonna wrestle, I'm gonna knock the hell out of them.
Who's they?
I might be one of the hatefulest patients y'all have ever had here, most uncooperative. But I know what I'm doing. I think, do you know what's best for you?
Sometimes.
Do you? You do sometimes?
Sometimes.
Some things that people disagree, but you know are best for you, right?
I like to listen to what other people have to say.
But you also have your own mind to think about too. You think sometimes when people tell you something that your way would be better?
Because you can be taken to Whitfield.
I can?
I suppose you can, can't you? I mean, people are taken to Whitfield when they don't agree with it sometimes. This happens.
Oh, sure. They can learn.
You know that, don't you?
I know it, but I'm going to make them earn the paycheck.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, that's just nuts. If he would let me go home for a couple of days, I'd be all right.
You're sort of bargaining with him, aren't you?
That's what I try. Well, I think it's pretty sensible. I played halfway with him, I think. I think I've met him halfway. If he would let me go home and think about it, relax. I can't relax up here. God, they pump me so full of stuff till I don't know which end I'm eating out of. But my God, I'm telling you, it does. It gets on your nerves after a while. They say your nerves are shot because you're shaking.
How do you feel towards us that we don't do what you want us to do?
It kind of makes me mad. Because I've agreed with y'all on a lot of things.
That might be one of your problems that you...
What?
That you can't go along with some of the things that we suggest. That you get angry as a result.
Sure, you would too. You would too. If a guy ran up and hit your car, or something like that, and said, I didn't mean to, and you knew he did, wouldn't you be angry? Would you be angry?
Does this apply on the ward too?
No. Would you be angry? Just answer my question. Would you?
Well, I don't quite understand how this relates to the things on the ward.
You don't want to answer me. And you're not going to answer me. You're not going to answer any question I ask you. I don't think I'm a fool, Dr. West.
No, I don't either.
I think I'm a little intelligent. Not very intelligent, maybe, but a little intelligent.
Well, I'm sorry that you've decided to go. I think you need to be here.
I think I do too, but I also think that I could cope with it better if I was home for a couple of days. I'm so nervous up here. I wouldn't be as nervous at home. I could go out and do something and get it off my mind.
Okay, thank you for talking to me.
Like any modern city, morning in Halifax moves at a hurried pace. Though atop its stately City Hall, a clock stands still, stuck in time, just as it has been for a century. On a December morning in 1917, the port city bustled, satisfying the demands of a country at war. Oblivious of the horrors set to strike 4 minutes and 35 seconds after 9 o'clock. A blast unlike anything ever seen. A blast unrivaled until the atomic bomb drops on Japan decades later. 100 kilometers away in Truro, Nova Scotia, the ground shook, windows shattered. On Prince Edward Island, a boom was heard as clear as day. And in Halifax, nearly 2,000 people dead. 9,000 injured, 25,000, almost half its population, homeless.
All I said was, I blew up.
The single greatest catastrophe in Canadian history would give rise to national institutions and revolutionize the way people live. A century ago, these waters were choked with ships feeding the insatiable appetite of a global conflict that for 3 years had been devouring all the people and goods it could get. But Halifax benefited. Its population swelled to almost 60,000. Soldiers, sailors, workers, and their families crammed hillside neighborhoods.
What would have been going on? Cue the horn. You would have heard whistles of employment at the sugar refinery, at the foundry, lots of noise on the harbor as the morning starts for work. And people would have been getting ready for morning. They would have been in their homes, putting a little bit more coal in the kitchen stove. Kids would be slowly doing their chores before going off to school. The captain of the Emo was planning on going to his side, and the captain of the Mont Blanc pulls across the bow, and the captain of the Emo then decides to reverse engines, but it's too late, and the ship impacts into the side of the Mont Blanc.
It was a bit of a fender bender in a way, but a fender bender sufficient to ignite that deck cargo of petroleum distillate. And these barrels of refined petroleum.
It's ordered abandon ship, and they get into the boats and they head for the Dartmouth shore.
Immediately abandon ship.
Immediately abandon ship. There's no idea of let's decide to put out the fire, let's redirect the ship somewhere onto the empty shoreline rather than the populated shoreline. Nothing. It's really immediate, their decision that, hey, it's going to blow up any moment. It's on fire, and we know what's on board.
The munitions ship, now shooting flames, drifts to the Halifax side. People in the north end of the city go outside or to windows to watch the fire, unaware of what the 5,000 degrees Celsius inferno on board is about to unleash.
And the Mont Blanc blows up into the sky and scatters. A cannon over on that hill, an anchor over on that hill, and just blows in the city.
People talk about there being this sort of sheet of lurid greenish pink flame that emanated from the former site of the Mont Blanc.
Hundreds of Haligonians are incinerated. A mushroom cloud soars above the city. A shock wave rips through anything standing. A tsunami washes buildings, boats, and bodies into the water. An indigenous community is wiped out. Hot steel, ash, and oil rain down. Stoves and homes topple over, sparking fires.
Little fires at first, but there's no one to put them out. The fire chief is dead, the deputy chief is dead, the fire wagons pulled by horses haven't yet arrived. Confusion, which way do you run? And then the hill is in flames. And one house being close to another house burns and burns and burns.
Inside, people dazed, injured, trapped under rubble. Screams are heard everywhere. Nearly 2,000 are killed. Casualties of war an ocean away from the front lines.
If you look at photographs in the immediate aftermath of the blast, you immediately think of the Western Front. There are occasional bits of structures and bits of trees still standing, but for the most part, it's just shorn flat.
With phone and telegraph lines down, panic and confusion set in. People race from other parts of the city, desperate to reach family members, only to find little recognizable.
The railways are the arteries of industrial Britain's trade. Day and night they work, feeding her factories, feeding her people. In the efficient operation of British railways, many factors play their part. There are the great marshalling yards where goods trains are made up rapidly for dispatch all over the country, this one being the largest in Europe. In developing dock facilities for the import and export trades, the railways have become the greatest dock owners in the world. They have provided an enormous fleet of rolling stock to satisfy the infinite demands of a great nation. They have built up an organization for the collection and delivery of goods to every town and village in the country. All these and many other activities must be undertaken by the railways if they are to carry out the services required by the nation. But ultimately, it is upon the engines that any railway system must depend for efficiency and economy of operation.
Filmed by Biograph in 1902, the Empire State Express is being pulled by the most famous of all 440 locomotives, the 999. This film, shot in 1903, used a very early special effect in which Biograph simply used a negative image of the Empire State Express, double printed with a positive moon and clouds. Shot in 1905 by Edison, a new and slightly longer Empire State Express is shown behind us.
until they find out exactly what is burning here. .5 miles northeast of the town of Luther. Closest intersection is Dobbs and Covell. It runs right along Hogback Road, Burlington Northern Railways. So again, people, if their children are not getting home when they expect them, this may be the cause, because they are shutting down more and more county roads around this area. I'm seeing they're moving up more water tankers to the east now, trying to get them in on these little oil field roads and stuff, and to get them staged until they find out exactly what they're going to do. They're going to have to wait for Burlington Northern to get on scene, Lance. That's the thing. They just can't rush in here and do this. They're having to wait for the Burlington Northern people to get on scene to evaluate what these cars were actually carrying. They have a manifest of what every rail car is carrying on this train, so they'll have to get that manifest and go through it and find out what car is derailed, what number on the car is derailed, what that particular car was carrying, and then they can assess with the fire crews exactly how they're going to fight this thing. Lance, back to you. Look how that's blowing out now. It's blowing out more towards your Horsehead pump right now. So again, there's something spewing out of the bottom of that tank now. You can see it rupturing and blowing towards that Horsehead pump, so it's even gotten closer. Oh, we just had a pan back. We just had a huge explosion. We just had a huge explosion here. That's just incredible. Oh, luckily there wasn't no firefighters within very close. I'm getting the heat off of it through my window here. This is it just exploded just moments ago when Kevin was zoomed in there tight. I looked out my window and it just erupted. This is incredible. I mean, Lance, we can't say how lucky we are that this happened where it happened in this rural area. If this happened in a residential area or down in the town of Luther, there's no telling what we would have lost out of this. But again, something has just exploded and just erupted in this, and it has got a fireball that is unbelievable. So again, this is what you're dealing with, Lance. This is why everybody's pulling back. They even pulled the fire trucks that were on Hogback Road about a quarter mile to a half mile away. They pulled them back now, back to Covell. So again, they're having to deal with just a major problem here until they find out exactly what is burning here.
Yeah. Well, if I get home early enough tonight, I'll talk to her. I'll make her see that everything's gonna be fine. Susan? Susan, you there? Hello?
Oh.